My name is Shauny Hamon. I am a bodybuilder. I think I've been bodybuilding for 6 years, maybe. I'm a 2 times ICN professional, so pro, in sports model and fitness model. And I'm about to enter into my first WBFF competition next week. So I'm very excited for that. And as a job, I do personal training and I also do bodybuilding posing classes for bikini and fitness girls.
How did you actually get introduced into the world of fitness?
Well, I'll just be completely honest. I was a larger girl back in the day before I started, and I used to scroll on Instagram and I used to see these girls and I would idolize them all the time and just think, wow, they are so amazing. And I wish that I could be like that. And then I thought one day, well, stop wishing and let's just be like that. So then I started working out, and then someone approached me in the gym. I lost a bit of weight and they said, have you ever thought about competing? Are you going into the next comp? And I said, what is competing? And I had no idea. So then I reached out to a coach and then went into my first show.
Was there a certain kind of final thing that happened that led you to that, or was it just kind of this realization, or what really was it? Because you said it was like just finally you decided to make that change and that commitment. But for a lot of people, I think it's hard because they have the same desires to achieve their fitness goal or health goal or whatever it is, or bodybuilding goal maybe, but they don't really, they have the want, but they never really finally do it. So was there a certain thing that for you that finally did it that was like, okay, this is the thing that's causing me to start?
I think it was more within myself. I was very low self-esteem. And then I think every time I would look at myself, no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't really happy with what I saw. It's not so much like there was this final moment that flicked and I was like, oh, that's it. It was kind of like this ongoing urge, and I kind of just reached the peak of that urge, especially when someone in the gym, when I was really trying, came up to me and said, you look amazing. And I was like, okay, well, let's see how far we can take this then, because I really had the drive in me to do it.
Yeah. And then when you did start to actually just first get into the gym and stuff like that, was it, tell us a little bit about that for you. What was it like? And I think now we're all kind of, or at least at the stage where you are, and just people with more experience, it's kind of like a no-brainer, just go into the gym and get your workout in and feel good and do all those things. But for you, how did that, because you have the motivation to start, you feel good about when you do make that decision to start, but then when the thing actually has to happen, when the day comes where you have to go to the gym or you have to do the thing, whatever that is, we can become a little bit nervous or anxious or like, is this really for me? So how did that go for you?
At the start, it was very intimidating stepping into the gym, especially because I did hold a little bit of extra body fat and I was a complete beginner. So I had no idea how to do anything really. It was to the point where I wanted to learn to deadlift because I would see people deadlifting in the gym and I didn't know how to do it. So I would set up my phone and I would watch YouTube videos, especially when no one was around. And then I would just try and teach myself how to deadlift. The main thing that really got me going was I joined a fitness team, which I now work for, Competitive Edge, and the coaches there are amazing. And I basically just, the support that we have, everyone just teaches you how to do things, and the environment was very different to the last gym that I was at. It doesn't matter, the type of people, and I felt this, it made me really comfortable when I first joined the team. They're the type of people that if you're joining the powerlifting team and you can only deadlift 60 kilos and the next person's about to deadlift 300 kilos, they're still going to scream at you the same and hype you up the same as the person that's lifting bigger. And you don't feel uncomfortable, like you feel very included, because we basically, if we see someone having you go, awesome, we'll get behind you. And that's exactly what they did for me.
Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. when you decided finally like to get into the sport of bodybuilding, you said you got a coach. For you,
Yeah.
what was that transition like from just going from maybe a more like leisure style of fitness, if that makes sense? What changed for you? Like what maybe did you realize that you had to change because things just become more kind of all inclusive. Things are like, okay, now this matters more. I have to focus on these other things more too. So was it hard for you to make that change and that transition to doing those things?
It definitely was difficult at first, especially knowing the amount of work at the start of this. It was a lot of work transitioning to going to the gym from, once or twice a week to 5 days a week. That was a hard transition, especially to work it into a full-time job as well. I think the main thing that helped me there was people doubted me, and I know that just doesn't sit right with me. So it's kind of like, well, watch this. So that's pretty much what I did. Yeah, I think the hardest transition was one, DOMs. DOMs were everywhere. So I was very sore all the time. And now it's not so much like that, probably only after like a heavy leg day. But yeah, at that stage, I basically just had to set an alarm and be like, right, prove these people wrong. And that was the only thing that got me through.
Was the workout side of it like trying to um kind of get your, because when you go in and work out and it's just for health and fitness reasons, you still need to like follow a specific thing to get specific results, right? But whenever you're doing it for bodybuilding, you kind of have to dial it in a little bit more, be a little bit more specific, be a little bit more thoughtful, all those kind of things. Was it hard for you to make that transition for that and to like know how to regulate intensity and know when to kind of, okay, this is the weight that I know I should be at, or this is, okay, I thought it was this weight, but I can only do the X amount of reps and feel this way after. So like, how long did it take you to kind of get comfortable with going in and kind of figuring out how to work out and train at a competitive level?
I would say probably, honestly, a good half a year to be completely comfortable to just walk in and be like, okay, pick up these weights without actually looking at my program and being like, what weight did I do last week? Okay, let's see if I can get the same amount of reps. But I basically followed a rule going in that whatever weight that I did, the last 2 reps of that set should be a bit of a challenge to finish. So I'm not just pumping out weights, pumping out reps. And I'm also not struggling, say like with a set of 10, I'm not struggling at 5 and now I'm just RPE 10 for the last 5 reps. So about 6 months it took me.
Is that still something that you figure out new things with yourself to this point?
Yeah, going back to what you just said, I completely agree with how your body responds to different rep ranges. Personally, my body responds very well to moderate to high weight, but high reps. Love it. My body responds really well, feels really good. Mind muscle connections on lower reps and heavy weight. Not a good mix. I don't see the results as much to what I'm looking for as well. And that took a long time to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, exactly like you said, well, why can't I do what the next person's doing next to me if I'm just as strong? And why am I not getting the same results? It's because everyone's body's different.
Yeah. It's kind of hard
Yeah.
when you don't understand that at first. It's really, for me at least, it was kind of like a little, it's just like you felt like you were doing the same work and you were at least, you know, felt like you were putting in the same work, but then you weren't
Yeah.
visually, you weren't seeing like, okay, I can do what they're doing. And that's a big thing too. I think in fitness is like judging yourself based on other people is a tough thing too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think when you see like those motivational quotes about the gym that say like don't compare yourself to the other person, I feel like a lot of newcomers feel like that's just something that experienced people say to try and make you feel better. But it's definitely something that you should follow, and it's definitely something that I follow, especially when I train. I don't care who looks at me, what I'm doing, what faces I'm making. I'm just getting the job done for me. And I think that's another level that you have to step into and get uncomfortable with to be comfortable in the gym. There was one time at a previous gym where we used to train out of, there were some guys that were making fun of someone for doing a bicep curl wrong. But he was actually doing drag curls. And I was like, no, that is an exercise. And I just said, hey, no, just overheard your conversation. Just let you know he's doing drag curls, which is a exercise, and he is actually performing it correctly. So I think that kind of opened their eyes to, okay, probably don't judge people in the gym.
Yeah. I'm sure that didn't make them feel too good in the moment either. Like,
Probably
kind of,
not.
that's funny. When you did start to, you said about 6 months in, you started to kind of feel more comfortable about going in and getting, done what you needed to get done in kind of a comfortable way. At what point did you start to see and feel like you were really making a lot of, maybe not a lot, but starting to make some progress and starting to feel like who you wanted to become and like what you wanted to achieve was getting achieved?
It was probably fairly late. I think only generally because I had high expectations for myself, but probably about 10 or 8 weeks out from my first show, I had this moment where I was like looking in the mirror and I'd do the same pose all the time, take the same photo of it just for progression photos. And I don't know, just had this realization moment and I still remember the photo. I was like, wow, what are these lines on my legs? And then that was very, very like self-motivating to me.
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
Are high expectations kind of a double-edged sword to you?
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. I feel like most bodybuilders would probably agree as well because we're always striving for something that's basically unattainable because once we reach that, we've already got the next goal in mind because we've already got what we wanted, but we always think that we can be better. So I do try and be a little bit more mindful and take a step back and have a look and try and think of the girl that was, getting approached in the gym when she finally lost weight to who I am now. I try and look from her view, and then it kind of sinks in a bit.
I think in bodybuilding, you're always trying to like kind of go beyond just what you're kind of think you're capable of in that moment. How do you kind of feel confident and feel good about knowing that you did put it in, like put the work in and do what obviously just by checking off the boxes, I think that that's a big one, but like in a sport where it's like, how can I go kind of even just a little bit harder, the extra mile, a little bit? How do you feel comfortable at the end of the day knowing like, okay, I did everything that I could do?
Of course, there's just ticking the boxes, but I feel like there's a kind of like a barrier that you have to push through, and it's very mental, especially like diet, nutrition diet for bodybuilding. Um, Not so much like cheating on your diet or anything like that, but how you view your diet. I think that changes the game completely because then you're going to enjoy your prep a lot more. I think for me, that's progression. In the gym, is definitely the type of engagement that I have in my forms and my reps over what it was before. Instead of just getting it done, actually fully activating, making sure that everything's turned on and I'm getting the best out of every rep that I can. And sometimes if I've got a crap rep, just add another one on because you did bad.
And do you feel like that when you walk out of the gym, you almost feel mentally exhausted as you do physically exhausted because you're putting that much mental focus into training as well?
Yeah. Yeah, it is very mentally draining, especially on prep. Off season, not so much. Like the endorphins kick in and you feel really good. In season, mm,
Yeah.
it's yeah, your mind's just as tired as your body.
And then when you really finally decided like, hey, I want to do a show, I want to compete now. What was that like for you kind of finally making that decision and then stepping into a prep and then competing? Like tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, first of all, it was very frightening because I've never seen something like I've never seen a show or anything like that, but I knew a lot of people around me, because where I'm from in the town that I live in, it's not big, like it's not like Melbourne, Australia. It's quite small, and basically everyone knows everyone. And I knew of girls that competed before, and I just thought, wow, they look so great. And I thought, okay, this is it. You're doing it again. Like, you can do this. You can be one of them. And then I just thought, this person who was my coach is giving me all the steps to get there. And literally, that's all I have to do is all these steps. And then actually stepping out onto or entering the first bodybuilding comp was surreal. I did not know who I thought I was. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm about to get up in a bikini in front of everyone. But then again, I think that was looking at bodybuilding from a different perspective, like an outsider perspective, or someone that doesn't really have that much knowledge about it. Compared to now, when I think of getting up on a stage and seeing girls on stage, it's not about, seeing a girl on stage in a bikini. It's about actually looking at the effort and the work that they've put into their body and the determination mentally that it takes to get there. And then your appreciation for the sport really grows.
Right. When you look at kind of different shows over time that you've done, do you feel like that when you see like the evolution of getting on stage, do you feel like you used to be kind of more maybe in your head? Like, does it mentally feel like a different thing to you now?
It still has the same excitement and the same drive behind it, because I feel like the shows that I do are the next level up. So I'm never just entering the same shows or doing the same thing. So there's still that level of excitement in a different way. But it definitely feels a little more serious now, and it feels a little bit more personal compared to just before, when it was just something to tick off the bucket list. Now it's become just everything to me.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, it's just what I do.
And how do you balance that? Having this thing that takes so much energy, effort, time. How do you balance that with the rest of your life?
First of all, the circle that I'm in is amazing. So I've got friends that don't bodybuild and they don't compete or go to the gym or anything like that. Like my best friend, Tiana, she's not into bodybuilding or anything like that, but she goes to the gym, but not to the degree that I do. But she's been to every single show. She's supported me every single prep. And surrounding yourself with people like that definitely help, because it can get a bit grisly at times, and you can turn into a little bit of a hermit and be very low energy. But I think the main thing is just the people that you surround yourself with. And there's this saying that's like, if you don't like the people you surround yourself with, like, get better friends or something. And I'm like, that's exactly what it is. Just make sure that your friends love you and you love them.
Yeah. And then as you mentioned kind of like things you're competing against better competition, right? And things are kind of more serious at the bigger shows. What have you done other than I guess just consistency of doing the right things to improve on those things or to become just the 1% better?
Definitely sleep and recovery. My first prep, I didn't sleep very well. Just because I didn't prioritize it as something that you needed. This prep, like, anytime you try and reach out to me, I'm probably napping. I'm probably having a nap, like resting 100%. In the gym, I feel like my intensity and my drive didn't really change that much, I feel like I've always got, I don't know, something to prove to myself. I don't know why, but I just feel like there's this quote. Okay, there's this quote, and it says, never leave the world without reaching your full potential. And I don't know why, but that quote really hit me, and I'm going to make sure that that happens. So it doesn't matter what I do. I know that prep's hard. I chose to do this. I know what I'm getting into, and it doesn't stop prep from being hard just because I chose to do it. It's still very difficult at times. But if I'm choosing to do this, I only got one shot, so I might as well put everything in. And I think that's just the mentality that I've taken and just ran with it. So not so much as changed. With my coach, we've definitely found nutrition tactics that work for me and that my body responds really well to. So that's made things easier. But mainly it's just, positive mindset. The first prep that I did, I basically thought I was being tortured. And I was like, this is horrible. What am I doing? But now I kind of respect prep a little bit more because I know what it's about. I know what I'm getting myself into, and it's mentally just making me stronger every time.
Getting into kind of the like the future of what you desire for the sport of bodybuilding. Have you thought about like what those long-term goals are?
Not so much. The only thing that would probably stop me from bodybuilding is when me and my partner want to settle down and start a family. Just because bodybuilding obviously takes a toll on your body and you want to be in pure health. And then obviously postpartum. That's basically the only thing that would really take away from it, as pretty much my partner and myself, our whole lives is just bodybuilding in the gym, which sounds really sad, but I promise you it's not. It's super fun. Like I teach bodybuilding, I train, I do posing classes. I think it's basically too much of who I am right now for me to prioritize something over it.
Gotcha.
So I think I'm not going to stop bodybuilding until I need to prioritize family over bodybuilding.
Yeah. And are there things that you do now to make sure that that health is still there and will be there down the line? Is that something that you think about still like today?
Yeah, definitely. So I work really closely with my doctors, just make sure I'm looking good before I enter a prep, during as well, because your body does get put underneath like a lot of stress during prep when you're in such a deficit. And it's not just like a slight deficit. Sometimes you could be in an extreme deficit, depending on how lean you are or how your body's responding. But because this is such a big thing to me, I make sure that my body is working well, that we're healthy to keep going. Because otherwise, if this shuts down, so does the rest of my life.
Is that something you think a lot of people they struggle with in bodybuilding? Is the kind of looking at it from more of a long-term view?
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that should definitely be prioritized a bit more, is your health. Again, each to their own. Whatever you want to do, you can do. But just make sure that like you're healthy about it. You're not just doing something that it's going to have repercussions in 2 years or 5 years, just because, like we went before, just because of that instant satisfaction or temptation. Like you don't just want instant results. It's basically bodybuilding can set you up for the rest of your life because you are going to be stronger. It does help with osteoporosis in women. It makes you, your joints more stable, more strong, everything like that. Like there's a lady on our team who's my coach's mum. She is the world champion deadlifter, I believe, or powerlifter, and she's 74. Or 75. She just had a birthday, I believe. 75, and she is strong. Most people that are her age that I've seen, very stiff, need help, can't really fend for themselves. She's out there, she's deadlifting like 160, she squats like 130, something crazy. She benches. And she's a world champion. It's just because she gets up, she moves her body well, and she loves what she does, keeps her body healthy. That's what I aspire to be. Keep it in the routine so I can end up like that.
Yeah, that is very inspiring. Whether you're in bodybuilding or not, when you're younger, you have a want to go to the gym and train and do those things and have the aesthetics behind it, right? I mean, it's just kind of like that secondary benefit. But to know that like when you're getting into that age range of when most people are really, like you said, not really capable of doing that much on their own anymore, And you can still do that. Like it's so cool to think that your life, the life that you want to live, doesn't have to end, and all you really have to do is put in some work.
Looking out to like in my future when I become older, I definitely don't see myself as being comfortable with being that age and suddenly having to be reliant on someone, and suddenly my quality of life has turned into just sipping tea in front of a TV. I don't see that as quality, just personally. And I doubt that people that are in that position really see that as quality as well. They probably do want to be doing something, but unfortunately, their bodies just can't. And yeah, I think there's much more to going to the gym just for aesthetics that people don't realize are actually happening behind the scenes. And it's basically just setting yourself up. So when I'm 74 or 75, I'm coming for Mary, that's her name. I'm coming for her powerlifting title because I aspire to be like that.
I think people associate, okay, you're old with you're just automatically going to be sick. You're automatically going to be able to, not walk or run or get out of, get off the toilet by yourself or whatever. When in reality, it's like that's just been decades of bad habits and, bad eating and smoking and drinking and not taking care of your, not being physically active and all those things. It's not truly the human experience. It's kind of the human experience that we've turned it into.
Yeah, like there's another saying that a lot of people use, a lot of fitness coaches use, and they just put an example in as how you would have heard of it, how investing in your health, and how people say they don't have that much money to invest in their health because of PT, coaching, just nutrition plans that all cost money. But then they do the breakdown of like eating out every week, going out for dinner, going out for drinks, etc., and how much that really costs. Investing in your health at a young age, or just even prioritizing it a little bit, or including it into your daily lifestyle, that's what gets you to be like these 17, 90-year-olds that are out there. It's not like these 90-year-olds that ran that marathon is an Olympic runner. He just prioritized his health and he just can move his body because he always moved his body.
Even if you don't want to, or you don't want to make that monetary investment in a trainer or a coach or whatever, and you say I'm not going to do that, you can go on any podcasting platform, start listening to a podcast from somebody who really knows what they're talking about, and learn the basics, and then keep going. Like there's endless
Yeah.
levels of information.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was listening. It wasn't a podcast. It was just someone on YouTube, and they were talking about pesticides, and this blew my mind. So McDonald's only use one type of potato because they're very long and they can get like very nice looking chips out of it. However, they won't accept any potatoes with a brown spot on them. So the farmers have to spray this pesticide on it to make sure that no brown spots come while the potatoes are growing. The farmers then cannot enter the field for 5 days from how strong that pesticide is, otherwise they will get sick. Yet we're just dunking it in oil and eating it.
That's crazy.
That's not good.
I've heard the
like,
thing.
of course, like it's okay to go have McDonald's every now and then, but even back when I was first beginning, I had no idea why McDonald's was so bad. I just knew it was fast food, so it must be bad for you, and they dunked it in oil. But it's actually, listening podcasts, it's actually really bad.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even break down after 6 months.
Yeah.
Just kind of sits there.
Those videos are crazy when people do like, how long can this burger go, or how long can this whatever go without, having mold or without whatever happening to it.
I won't dive into it too much, but I'm very interested in that sort of conversation. Me and my friend Sarah are very interested in that because we found out that there's about like 4 major brands that own all the other brands that we don't really know about. So I can't remember. I think it's Kinder. No, it's Nesquik. Yeah, Nesquik bought out Jenny Craig, So Nesquik chocolate owns Jenny Craig. So then that's just a cycle. And I found that, like, oh, okay. So it really is just everyone's just out to get money.
We do have a long way to go, and hopefully, like just educating people on this. It's weird to me that we live in a world, right, where I think we're obviously kind of destroying it in and of itself. Like the place that we live it's weird even just to think that. But then we're like creating products and we're doing things harmful, putting harmful things in products and in food and in all the things that we're putting in our body and on our bodies that are going to hurt human beings. But who's doing that? It's just like other human beings. It's like, it's so weird to me that we can't create a system that's beneficial for everybody. Like why should you only be able to, and you can do it the other way, but why is it only set up right now that the richest of the rich and the most powerful are all like basically taking advantage of people and making them sick and unhealthy and distracting them with, entertainment and pleasure? And like, is there not a way to set it up to where people can still make money and still, have things, whatever they want, but sell things that are positive, sell things that are good for people, sell things that don't have, chemicals and harmful things in them and all that kind of stuff? I just think that there's got to be a kind of a better way to do it.
I think there definitely is, but I feel like the top of the top have too much greed to let that happen. And I think it's a very big power play about control as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of sad, but that's what I love so much about fitness, health, bodybuilding, is that it's really like there's still options out there to where we can take control of those things for our own personal. And that's what I like about it so much, is that if you educate yourself, find better alternatives, you found better ways of doing things, you take care of yourself, like you're going to see those results within yourself. So, that's I think maybe where my passion did come from, was it's something that I can control.
Yeah, and those results, someone can't take that away from you. It's
Right.
not like it's not like something that you've gotten and everyone else has. You had to work for that yourself. You've gone past all the temptations, you didn't fold, and you did this for you, and no one can take that from you. And I think that's a massive part of bodybuilding.
Yeah, definitely. It is. And it's so cool, just becoming more aware of that community here in the last couple of years myself, and just kind of getting to chat with people like yourself who have made that commitment. It's really inspiring, and I really appreciate you coming on here today and sharing your story and having this conversation.
Thank you. No, I had a great time.
As did I. And if you want to, before we head out, if you want to share your social media or anything like that, you can.
Oh, thanks. My social media Instagram handle is Shauny Hamon _ICN Pro. That's pretty much it. Follow me. I post cool stuff.
We'll put that down in the description. I really appreciate you once again coming on and chatting today, all the way from across the world. It still kind of blows my mind that I get to chat with people from all over. It's an honor to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.